we talked in the Cruz case and in the Borgelli case about the fact that in order for something to qualify as a co-conspirator statement under 801 D2E, that the statement must occur during the course of the conspiracy. And this seems kind of easy, kind of automatic. Of course, has to occur during the course of the conspiracy. If three of us agree to rob a bank, and 4 years later one of us talks about it, then that's not really part of the conspiracy. It gets more complicated, however, when you talk about cover-ups, because implicit within every conspiracy is a presumption that the conspirators will conceal the existence of the conspiracy. And so statements that are made that conceal the conspiracy can also be part of acts in furtherance of the conspiracy, so long as they're during the conspiracy. And how long does this process or this period of concealment go with regard to the admissibility of your co-conspirator statements that are against you, that are going to be used against you? So in U.S. versus Magluta, we have a case in which the defendant was convicted of bribing a juror. And so 2.5 years after the foreperson of the jury is bribed and gets the defendant acquitted, 2.5 years later, an undercover agent comes to him, posing as someone who is with Magluta, is trying to convince Moya, the juror, to stay quiet, to not do anything. They're trying to get statements from Moya, the juror, that confirm the existence of the conspiracy. And in so doing, then they want to use those statements, not just against Moya, and they will certainly do that. Nothing about this case prohibits the statements that the juror made from being used against him. So if he admits the conspiracy, if he admits he was bribed, so long as the statute of limitations hasn't run on the bribing of a juror, and actually I think it had in this case, but if it had not, then you could still use those statements to prosecute the juror for the bribery itself. But can we use those statements as co-conspirator statements against the person who bribed the juror? Can we use these as, in other words, is Moya's statement that he'll keep quiet about the source of the money, are those statements that are in furtherance of the conspiracy to keep the conspiracy covered up? And the court in Magluta says, no, the conspiracy ended when the verdict of acquittal was rendered by the juror who was bribed. So after that, the prosecution says, well, maybe there's a new conspiracy. Maybe now, because these were drug proceeds that Magluta used to bribe the juror Moya, maybe then that we could say this is a conspiracy to launder this money, to avoid anyone from knowing where this money came from. And the court says, well, no, that doesn't make any sense either. That's not a conspiracy between Magluta and Moya. If Moya wants people to not know that the proceeds came from him being bribed, then he's trying to cover up that. But there's nothing about that's a conspiracy with Magluta to keep the drug source private. That Moya has his own independent reasons for not wanting people to know that this was money he received from a bribe, but that's not about keeping the drug origins of the bribe. The fact that Magluta got the money from drugs and then gave it to Moya as part of a bribe, if Moya's trying to keep people from knowing that he got the money as part of a bribe, that does nothing to advance Magluta's interest in keeping the drug source of that money confidential. It may, in some attenuated sense, do that, but the court said here that's just a bridge too far. That this argument is far too attenuated. So the court in Magluta says, look, there's an end to when acts of concealment are actually part of the conspiracy itself. And this is the Grunwald case that they cite for that proposition, that the conspiracy to conceal is part of it, but you have to distinguish concealment during the conspiracy from acts to conceal after the ends of the conspiracy have been achieved, or they've walked away from the idea of doing a conspiracy or completing the acts of the conspiracy to begin with. So that's your case on timing. It can sometimes get complicated in the middle, but just know that the Grunwald test is your go-to. If this is concealment during the conspiracy, then those acts are in furtherance. But if the state that's trying to conceal the conspiracy or after the ends of the conspiracy have been satisfied, or that the conspirators have abandoned completion of the ends of those conspiracies or of the conspiracy, then you cannot bring in evidence of their efforts to conceal as being during the conspiracy.